Welcome everybody. Yeah, we did try and do this on YouTube live stream. We was hoping to try some different platform, different technology, but it was a fail. So maybe we'll take another shot at that some other time. But for now, stick to this recorded video on Zoom. Next time we'll try and we'll bring more people on because I know some people were interested in joining to listen live, ask some questions, but you can always send in your questions later and such. But yeah, today joining, I have Addi Strasser with me, holistic healer, past life regressionist, medical intuitive, and many other things that you do. For the people that don't know you, Addi, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself, what you do?
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Adam. It's a pleasure to be on I guess YouTube with you. I think you and I have known each other 15, 16 years now, so this is cool. About me, I have been working as a holistic healer in full-time practice for about 23 years now. It'll be 23 in January. So I work with a number of different modalities, the central one of which is healing touch. That's a modality of energy medicine. And I also do a lot of medical intuitive work, and I do work with people. Essentially, I act quite often as a kind of coach to help people figure out where are they, what do they want to get to, and how do we move from A to B. So I act in many respects as a kind of support system for a person in their process of growth, whether it's regaining physical health, establishing new elements of their lives, new kinds of relationships, supporting them through change. And I do a lot of work, pretty much on all of the levels a human can exist, many of which are invisible. I'm there to help and support that person in whatever respect they need. Essentially, that's how I work. I'm very focused on what do you need right now as a human being, and trying to meet you there. And if I personally can't assist in that way, then I will do the best I can to help somebody find someone who can do that for them, right? And I work with, as I say, energy medicine, and also I'm a holistic nutritional consultant. So just finding the right nutritional herbal support for people as they're maybe healing from an illness or just wanting to be healthier. And then I do a few other modalities as well, including past life regression, where we can go really deep into the person's kind of the past of their soul and look at where are they coming from in terms of what's showing up in this lifetime, patterns that may need to be cleared, that type of thing. So that's really a very rough sketch of what I do. And I do a lot of clearing for space, business, homes, et cetera, as well, sort of energy work for places as well as human beings. So those are kind of the main things that I work with, but I do all sorts of things too that kind of fit in little niches in between as well. So it's hard to talk about what I do for a living because it's very much a mosaic.
Is there anything that you're seeing like common that shows up for you that people come to you for, or that you're seeing more often now, especially since this whole I guess since the stress of the sort of the world has really risen up. It's almost like many people have been sort of very much challenged in the last few years. Like a lot of their personal stuff has been thrown in their face, or like gone through different traumas or stresses. Yeah, is there
Well, I think the pandemic definitely, I would say it essentially traumatized almost everyone, even though even people who weren't personally affected by the infection itself, the level of emotional upheaval it created in so many people, so many countries, and so many livelihoods, et cetera. It's really hard to find somebody, at least living in the first or second world, who wasn't directly affected somehow. So that's definitely been part of it. But I think it's to answer the question, I think it's really important to understand where we are historically right now, and that there are a couple of different elements at play. The first of which is that, yeah, like you said, a lot of trauma, a lot of deep-seated things that have been sitting maybe just below the surface that we've been able to do a little bit of a walk on water with are coming up from beneath and just, hey there, you can't ignore me anymore. So what are you going to do? Right. So there's definitely that element to it as well. And we're also seeing considerable stress. I would call it cosmic stress, for lack of a better term. I don't know, maybe you have a better term for it, but I don't think that you would disagree when I say there are higher and higher frequencies of light moving into this plane, and have been continually for about the last 100 years already. In the last 10 years, it's become much more palpable. In the last 5, it's almost on, you can hear the sirens. It's really happening. And the result of that for a lot of people is just a kind of ongoing, unfathomable stress. Like, people feel stressed, they feel anxious, they feel sometimes depressed, and they don't know why. They can't figure out what's causing it. So I do see some of that, and that seems to be particularly tangible in my practice in youth. Kids that are between 15 and 25, and those are kids to me, are really having a hard time right now. It's really rough. And part of it's economic and just reality based, but their nervous systems are not having a very good time. I think older people are just more, maybe a bit more stoic. We've got a bit more lived experience that this is rough and we'll get through it. But when you're in those first stages of life, it's very hard to know that you're going to survive this. It's a real challenge when you haven't yet survived something like this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so what do you usually say or do for like these people that tend to have like more sensitive nervous systems?
It's really, I think, the best thing any healer can do. I think my most important job as a healer is making sure people understand. I said this in the talk with Carrie a couple months ago. Making sure people understand they're not crazy. It's not them. It's not they are personally weak. It's not they're not good enough. It's not that they're not strong enough. This is a normal, healthy human being, or relatively healthy human being, in absolutely abnormal circumstances. And you're not going to do it any better than you're doing it. So just having people, often people just hearing that, they're like, oh, and that takes about 80% of the pressure off right away, that, oh, this isn't me. It's not that I'm somehow, cosmically malnourished or something. No, it's not. This is something that's new to the entire human race, what we're going through historically, and cosmologically as well. So I think that that's really key. And then what I work on, Adam, is really focusing on the individual and what does he or she need right now. It could be some physical support in terms of nutritional supplements or herbs that can help regulating the nervous system, regulating the adrenals, regulating sleep, all of those things, making sure that those really basic aspects of human well-being are in place, creating a foundation for well-being. And then we build from there with, week after week, as we work together to just tweak it, adjust it a little bit here and there until the person can kind of feel stabilized. And then we start to build from there on, okay, great, you've got a nice groundwork to operate from, and where do we want to go from here? And everybody's goal is different, right? Somebody might want to get out of a crappy marriage, but they feel too physically sick to do it. The next person might be recovering from an illness or an accident of some kind, or some kind of bad situation in their life, and they really want to get onto that new career. So whatever your place where you're beginning and trying to get to, I really believe in designing something specific to that person, and just meeting them in whatever way they need to be met as best I can.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, yeah, really, it sounds like you're supporting or building up that person's foundation. Like, it's like they're sleeping, what they're eating, how they're
Mhm.
thinking, like feeling, all that stuff. Yeah, is so important for, yeah, your day-to-day life. It's just like, I know when I started changing the way like I was eating, feeling, thinking, it's like the results are massive, like for sure.
Mhm.
And it's an accumulative thing over time. So it's like, oh, maybe it's like, okay, I remove this from my diet or add something. It's, you may not see an impact right away, but it's like over time, it's, yeah, like when I think about like, yeah, because I've been on this path of like sort of natural medicine, health, nutrition, healing for well over 20 years. And it's like, I'm just thinking back, like if I didn't get on that, I think I'd be a total wreck or mess, especially when during stressful times, because it's like when we have like these very supportive foundational groundwork already there,
Mhm.
we're able to handle the stressors so much easier.
Yeah, building resilience is really, really huge in the type of work we do, because that is, you can't avoid stress, you can't change a lot of the things about your life, but you can build your resilience to whether it's illness or stress or just over functioning, as so many of us have to do in the world to just sort of make ends meet. Um, there's a lot that we can do to slowly but surely become stronger and stronger, so that um, you know somebody who's now in their 50s or 60s or even 70s may easily experience greater health than somebody who was in their 40s 30 years ago, right? Like a lot of people are much healthier when you get on that path, and you do that, what I call the law of 5%, where there's no one thing that's going to change your life. Forget that idea. It's not going to happen. But if you change 12 things 5%, you
Mhm.
get a 75% shift, right? And it's all about tweaking many, many little things, and knowing what to look for, like paying attention to those inner signals, being given permission to pay attention to those inner signals,
Mhm.
listening to the intuitive voice, really letting yourself be more governed by yourself than what outer edicts are saying. Bob's diet of the month. Right.
Yeah, there's always like a new diet coming out, and a lot of them just sort of get recycled back in from whether it's 10 years ago,
Yeah,
20, 5 years.
absolutely. And they all work really great for about 15 minutes, but they don't create resilience or long lasting effects. And they don't, or I should say, not very often do they create really optimal health. They're kind of about getting this result, get cut, get get this look, get thin, get sleek, get what's that word that I really detest so much? It doesn't matter. I shouldn't use it anyway. But there's a specific term that's used right now for how the look you want, and
Right.
it's got to be about how you feel inside, and how does your food feel in you? Does that feel like it's good for your body? Do you feel happy after you've eaten, or did you just slug through another horrible instant shake so you can
Right.
get that 10
Yeah,
pounds
you
off
might
by
think, oh,
Christmas?
even though people are like taught to believe, oh, this is good for me, this eating this, whatever it is, like, yeah, like these different trends, like this is really good for me. Meanwhile, they feel like garbage taking it.
And their digestive systems yell like, no, no.
So yeah, definitely trust your gut for sure. Like that's
Literally.
around for a reason. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, so that's huge. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad we talked about like, yeah, trusting your intuition, how important that is for one's own health, well-being, even like one's the work they do, like for sure. Like
Hmm.
I know I got into this line of work because I trusted my intuition. I was in university. I was actually in an environmental technology program, and I was being told every single day, go to Chinese medicine school. And I wouldn't listen. Well, I was just like saying it, shut up. But after a week, I said, fine, I'll go. But it's like, so that was like a major fork in the road for me again. Like I would have walked down a totally different life if I didn't listen to that. Or like, so it's like, I find often, yes, um, though it's interesting, people seem to be listening more and more to their intuition, or at least trying to, like recognizing that it's more of something that's a little more in the mainstream now. So I'm happy to see that happening. So it's like it's not so-called taboo anymore.
Yeah, we don't get beat up quite as often for talking like that anymore, but
Yeah, before I said that word, it's like where do you get stoned or something like that. Yeah, so yeah, I want to talk more about, yeah, especially past life regressions that you do. It's like, because yeah, you're diving into people's past. Like, what does that typically do for somebody that has a past life regression where
Hmm,
they're
that's a great question.
struggling with something? Yeah.
I mean, there's no one thing, because again, it's very much I gear, and the universe really, the way that information comes through in a past life regression is geared to the person's intention, and their desire as well. So I always do a very succinct intake with a past life regression client. What do you want out of this? What are you looking to find out about yourself?
Mhm.
So for some people, it might be um, something fairly short term, like, well, I just started a new relationship and I feel like I've known this person before. I want to find out if that's the case. Other times it's, I'm having a recurring pattern. I want to find out where it's coming from because it doesn't seem to be from this life. Could be a physical problem, it could be an emotional pattern, could be behavioral disruption, something like that. So each past life regression is really geared to what does that person need to know. And I find 85% of the time they're going to get exactly what they're looking for. And when they don't, they get other information that's actually more important than the question that they were asking. So it's quite a wonderful alchemy, what you get out of these regressions. But it is fascinating. Um, it's just one of my favorite things to do with somebody, because you go so deep into that human soul, and if you spend a few hours in this intensive relationship with this person, and I just always come out with this like incredibly deep respect for the person that is now, and just how freaking amazing we are as souls that come down here incarnating over and over, because it takes some guts to do this. This is not for amateurs, right? Um, and yeah, so it's really, there's no one thing to get out of a regression. Um, but I know, for example, when I was training to be a regressionist, I did a bunch of, like, I got regressed repeatedly, so I sort of had a good working experience of what that was like. One of the regressions I did was exclusively focused on my previous lives as a healer.
Mhm.
Now, that one regression changed my identity, my perception of who I am and what I'm capable of, like that. Like, I came out of that regression a completely different human being than the one that went in. So that kind of change is possible, and I've seen it in a few instances. It can, sometimes it just kind of takes those drops of inner knowledge to come in and go, oh, not only am I supposed to do this thing, but I've actually done this repeatedly before, and I'm already good at it. You know. So it doesn't have to be a job or a career, but it could be, you know, an issue with, I don't feel like I'm a competent parent or something like that. So there's all sorts of things that can get unwrapped in a regression. It's a pretty exciting thing.
Wow. Yeah, from doing that, because you hear about things like divine, like people have sort of, there's a divine plan already in place for a person, or like, do you notice that, or does that come up, or is that changed your view or on that at all?
Yeah, that is part of the regression process, is that we go to the planning stage of the current life. So you get to ask the question then, like, what did I come down here for this time? What was my trajectory? What were my goals? What were the challenges I was hoping to meet? Am I remotely on task here is really what a lot of people want to know, because a lot of people feel kind of lost in life and not really sure exactly if they're in the right job or the right relationship, or you know, kind of on the correct path for their soul. And it turns out the answer is usually an unequivocal yes, yes, yes. But they're understanding that from the inside is really what's helpful in healing, that lets them have the you know, that internal warmth, if you will, that lets them go, oh, thank goodness, I'm not just banging around down here wasting my time. And a lot of times, really, what we're down here to do is just be love. That's often the sole purpose of somebody's incarnating. Is just be love, be helpful, be warm, be caring, look after, help others who are going through a tougher time. Because as we evolve as a soul, we have less to learn and more to give. And so a lot of the people that end up coming to me are kind of in that giving stage, where they can turn around and help lift others up and out of whatever mire they might be in. So it's often just as simple as that. You're just here to help. Just do that, you know.
Yeah, I found that a lot with people. Like, there's these healings I do called heart opening healings, and it's like where people sort of connect in with their own heart and ask themselves like their questions to their soul. It's like, what am I here for? And often, yeah, it's stuff that's so simple, like, I'm here to just be happy, or to be compassionate or loving. And it's like, and it's just like, yeah, like acting that way every day. It's like, what is your life going to be like? How much more yeah, like joy and gratitude and just like fulfillment
Yeah.
that person to have. And it's like, often seems like we think things need to be so complicated. I need to do this and get caught up
And being loving and compassionate is not that effing easy in this world, right? It seems like a pretty simple, straightforward suggestion, but when you come down to brass tacks, it is not that simple.
Oh, for sure. Because yeah, you can be presented with a lot of different challenges, whether it's challenges with people or yourself.
Yep.
Just in your day-to-day life, and it's just like, to be compassionate or happy or loving in those moments is, yeah, it definitely takes work for sure. Is there anything that you do yourself to like sort of feel balanced, just to make sure that you are like the best version of yourself in sort of your day-to-day life?
Yes, absolutely. But is it any one thing? No, I don't have a magic formula. It's really about assessing my needs in the day, and doing the best that I can to make sure that those needs are met. Obviously, things like food and shelter are pretty huge on the list. But there might be other things. I may just need a little extra rest. I may really need to talk to a friend that day. Just like, I feel a bit like I'm banging around against the edges. I need to talk to somebody I know is safe, has got my back, you know. Often that's you or Carrie. Which, yay, that's so awesome. And yeah, I would say if I have a cornerstone to the formula for well-being, it's having actively worked with my higher self for the past 22 years. That is a daily thing that I do, and that connection serves more parts of me in more ways than any other one thing can ever do. You know, even if I were physically hungry or without a lot of the other amenities of daily life, having that connection to the divine aspect of me, and knowing that I'm just a little human avatar down here, which should be fully operating in that higher consciousness. That's the ultimate goal, to my perception anyway, is be as much of that higher consciousness as possible in this physical body. And boy, just like the love thing, not an easy task, man. Not, but the longer that you work it, the easier it gets, and the more profound the feedback loop becomes, right? It goes deeper, and the satisfaction becomes richer, and life becomes better, and joy becomes bigger, and heart grows and grows and grows. So that, again, back to that resilience piece, bad things will continue to happen in front of you or to you or at you, or people will, have their day attacking you. But knowing that inner peace, that peace that surpasses understanding, it's invaluable. There's nothing can touch that. Nothing. So that's my secret recipe.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, like I often on like a daily basis make sure I like connect in with the energy, the earth, and often it's just a very loving, balancing energy, and it's just like you're just having a conversation with it, just like you'd have like with a person, and it's just like, and to find that really creates a strong stability, brings me in, into a balanced place, and then also with the higher self. I like to connect into, and just, me personally, like the soul, and even just connecting in with my own guides and angels. Is there anything you want to share with me at this time, or healing? And it's just, and often it's very gentle, loving, like energy, just whatever I need at that day. And it's just like, if I wake up feeling groggy, it's just like it instantly sort of just shifts me out of it. And it's quite amazing. So it's just like,
Yeah.
And I just wonder, if more people started doing that, like the shifts they would feel, how much more connected, more joyful, loving they would be.
Yeah, and I think both are important. I agree with you. Like physical grounding to the earth, because if you're sort of only attuned to the higher frequencies, and those higher frequencies don't have a way to essentially ground, they have nowhere to go, or you're not directing them intentionally enough through your own energy field, that's one way to disperse those energies, but also just in a day-to-day walking life, to ground them into the planet is good as well. But yeah, I'm actually going to be offering a course hopefully very shortly, in working with your higher self. So anybody who is watching this may be interested. Maybe you can put a link in the YouTube once, or a little, for some information about that once it gets up. Because I think that especially at this time in where we are historically, it's to my personal thinking, and that's just me, I don't really think this is optional anymore. And I think that it's not that it should be compelled. I don't mean to suggest that, but to have balance in the world, as the world is changing more quickly than ever, and will continue to change more quickly than ever, as different forms of disruption, like what looks like disruption, are occurring, and the world becomes more of a mosaic of individuals and less kind of of a collective. It becomes a little bit trickier, almost on a day-to-day basis, to navigate the individuation, the extremes in individuation in humanity, if that makes sense. So having a really clear picture of who you are and what you're about, and that allows you to not really get triggered by other people's differentness and their individual needs. You're just like, oh yeah, okay, well, I have my own inner vertical well-being going on, so your stuff isn't upsetting me at all. You can just fully be you, be free to be you, and I'll be me over here, and it's going to be good. So the work that we can do in really connecting with those higher aspects of consciousness, a higher capacity for power, and by that I mean spiritual power, not monetary or political power, but all of the different aspects that the higher self can bring into our awareness, our consciousness, our experience, lets us navigate reality as we know it in its ever-changing form much more easily than if we're stuck in the ego and this idea that we're human beings and other human beings are supposed to be like this and the world's supposed to act this way, and that's not going to work much. It's going to be less and less easy to carry on in that kind of headspace as this revolution that we're in right now continues. Just let go early, let go often is my motto, because it's not going to serve you.
Let go early, let go often. That's like a great bumper sticker. Like, especially for someone like with road rage or something, they see let go. Just don't let go of the wheel. Or they might take it the other way, let go, like go off the deep end.
Well, you might need to do that. I mean, that's going on in a big way. We don't need to pretend it's not. The emotional inflation I don't see it in my clients so much, because the people that come to me specifically tend not to be living there in the first place, but we see it everywhere, that emotional inflammation in so many people, where they're just like, no, you need to be this and you need to do that, and so it's so hard to watch people be in so much suffering when really it's not affecting you. You're only affected because you're letting it affect you.
Right.
Just don't. And and that's a process to get there. I'm not going to pretend you can just wake up tomorrow morning and be completely unaffected by other people's nonsense. It's a daily struggle for me too. It's with certain individuals, but it's infinitely more doable than just continuing to pretend you're just a human being down here. You are that, but you are much more than that. And knowing and understanding the much more and what that means and its depth and its wisdom, it just brings so much to the table of life.
Yeah, I find like what you're saying, because it's like you can step back from that story of judgment or whatever it is into, like you're talking about going to the higher self or just into the self, and it's like, okay, I can take a break from all that noise outside, and it really helps to reset. Often it's like, okay, now I'm not bothered by that stuff.
And I think I was thinking about this morning, from my perspective, it's also really having that wide angle lens on what's going on here, right? Like where we are historically, what's going on for the planet, having that wide angle lens where I'm thinking about maybe like where this is going in 20 years, 50 years, 200 years down the line. We are doing something so fantastic, so unprecedented here. And it hurts. It really hurts. It's painful to watch people slamming around and arguing and being in fisticuffs and all sorts of things going on. But we're getting to a place that's going to make it all worth it. And remembering to kind of keep your eyes on the prize, that spiritual perspective, and that spiritual depth of the wide angle lens, God's wide angle lens, if you will, is so essential to maintaining sanity in this, in my estimation. I can't say enough about it. So that's why I'm going to give this little, it's going to be a mini course, and I'm going to just offer it as on a sliding scale donation kind of thing, because I really think people just need to get a good idea of how to work with their higher selves, and what are the like what are the trip ups? What are the things you're going to run into? Because it's not just all glory and light and angels descending. There's a lot of all your human stuff's going to come up harder and faster and be like, hi there, remember me? Yeah, time to talk to me now. So there are it's good to have support, I think, in that process. So I'm going to offer that.
Sure. Yeah, it reminds me of like sort of like cleaning up like a room or your basement, right? It's like, okay, gotta deal with this junk that I haven't dealt with in years. But it's like once you get rid of that stuff, how much better you feel. Like
Yeah,
with it. It's like, oh my God, should have done that a long time ago.
absolutely. That's a good analogy.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to share? Anything that's your higher self wants to bring through right now?
um I guess just kind of because we were, or I went off on that little tangent there, but what seems really important to me now as a healer and as a human being is people being able to understand, it's not just that the world's gone mad. Yes, it looks that way. And it's not just that, this group over here is being too extreme. Yeah, that's going on. And this other group over here is being kind of extreme too. But that's kind of about that emotional inflammation piece that I was talking about, that understanding the whys behind that, and why detachment is just kind of being in observer mode is so important. Not just to not be personally pulled into somebody else's drama or driven crazy by it, but the work of actually being here and helping to support humankind through this, camel through the eye of the needle, to use an analogy, is really the best. The better we can maintain our own personal equilibrium and sense of stability, and just kind of hold space for people while they're losing it, because we're all losing it on some level, or some people more often than others. They just get up and lose it, just like for a living almost. But to really be of service in this process, it's really essential to understand that not only is the earth really going through the going throughs, I like to call it, in terms of the frequencies of energy that are coming in from galactic energy centers, but also how much the dark suppressed underbelly of the collective unconscious, the lower astral field, all those parts are really coming up. So we're getting this kind of I wrote something down here. Oh, cosmic pressure sandwich. That was the term I came up with. but that we're being squeezed on both sides by just deal harder, no deal more, And so the people that don't have don't really have their hands on the reins internally are flipping out and losing control early and often. And so there is a place where our understanding can really bring compassion to that. We don't have to enable it. We don't have to go, oh, no, that's fine. Have a rampage. It's all good, man. No, but but we can kind of hold space and like maintain stability, safety for that person, and stability around them, at least if necessary, and not walk away feeling completely shredded. Right. To me, that's kind of, if I have anything to teach the planet right now, it's kind of right in that niche of how do you do that, because it is really not easy, especially for a sensitive person.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it sounds like the course that you're going to be sharing is going to be great. Yeah, it's going to share a lot of great things for people, and yeah, many people can get a lot of benefit out of it.
I hope so.
All right. Yeah, so I think we'll just finish up here. I guess, yeah, where people can get sort of in touch with you. Obviously, you're on the Intuitive Health Solutions site, so they can reach out to you.
Yeah, yeah, you can get a hold of me through Intuitive Health Solutions. And I also have my own Facebook page, which is just Addi Strasser Holistic Healer. You can message me there too. Either one of those will work. And I'm happy to take on new clients. And I do free consultations as well. So if you want to just have a little phone conversation with me, ask some questions, find out if we're a good fit to work together, if I can kind of meet you where you need meeting, then I'm happy to do that. I'd rather, spend that 15 minutes just talking to you, and yeah, most people go, okay, great, I'd like to work with you.
Right.
But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But maybe I can suggest somebody that would be better suited to helping you with your particular situation. So yeah, people can get a hold of me that way. And yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, excellent. Glad we got together and do this talk. And next time maybe we'll attempt the old YouTube thing or not.
Yeah. And I'll note that as the sun goes down, I look greener and greener in this particular color light. I don't know what that is.
You don't look green from my end.
No,
So.
okay, good. I look a little yellow or something. I don't know. It's a warm light. I'll figure out lighting. I only have a degree in film. It's fine. But yes, these ring lights are a little tricky. Anyway, thank you, Adam. I really appreciate this today. It's been a good conversation.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.